You've tuned in to Unpause Your Life with Dr. Callie Estes and Dr. Tara Lynn Sell. Your access to success strategies and more to help you move onward and upward with your life. Listen in each week as they interview others who have really taken their essence to the next level and truly unpaused their life. Now here are your hosts, Dr. Callie Estes and Dr. Tara Lynn Sell.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. This is Dr. Callie Estes, and I am founder of the Addictions Academy, the Addictions Coach, and Rehab Rescue. Welcome to Unpause Your Life. This is a great podcast where we showcase people who have done something extraordinary with their life. I welcome you, and I hope you enjoy all of our guests.
On my way, found a reason to wake up another day.
You are listening to Unpause Your Life with Dr. Callie Estes of the Addictions Coach and the Addictions Academy and my amazing Midwestern co-host,
Dr. Tara Lynn Sell from drtaralyn.com.
Welcome to Unpause Your Life, and our guest today, you know her as Addict Chick. Please give a good welcome to Amanda Meredith. She's a recovering drug addict whose foray into the twisted and dark world of chemical dependency will profoundly change the way that you view the disease of addiction. She has a badass husband named Ivy and an amazing son and a crazy Doberman named Tempest. So far, very exciting, right? At 34, she had it all. Successful career, home, child, everything. And she was crazy in love with a guy named Cage. And her love would become her first addiction, but not her last. So welcome, Addict Chick.
Hey, what's up?
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you very much.
So I'll just open with this. We got three badass fucking chicks on here. So let's just be real. Let's talk about it. Tell us about your book first.
Oh, I'm excited that we can curse. I didn't know if we were going to be able to. And of course, because I can, I was afraid I was going to say the F word or something like that. So excited to know that I can say fuck.
Well, now that we've got that out of the way, fuck this.
Yeah, now that I've said it, I'm good now. We're good. So, yeah, the book, I wrote it. I started it as a journal in rehab, actually. My doctor suggested it because I was feeling emotions for the first time in 3 or 4 years, and I was a mess. I was crying all the time. So my doctor suggested that I write. And so it started off as just a journal. And then when I got out of rehab, I started blogging with it. And then it turned into a book. And it's about, it's not about so much recovery because, like I said, I started it, when I was weeks clean. And it came out on my 1-year clean date. So it's mostly about what life was like for me in the dope game and how I got started using drugs. And so it kind of follows me through some early childhood sexual abuse, falling in love with Cage, him shooting me up with dope, and, what life was like for me in the dope game.
I just find his name to be very fascinating. I don't know this person, but sometimes we match people around us with what we're going through. It's like an attorney's name, and his name is Judge or something like that.
Right.
This guy's name was Cage, and he became your literal Cage.
Right, he did. And we had started working on something together after this book had come out, and it was called From the Cage, because basically he was in prison and we were co-writing a book together, and it was going to be called From the Cage. So.
Oh, wow. So
yeah,
you're a little bit different because I find this interesting. So your book, is it more about drugs? Is it more about the love sex addiction? Is it about both?
It's about both. It starts off talking back and forth about how I met Cage, how much I loved him, that I loved him so much that I followed him into hell because I'd rather be with him than not be with him. But also because I was a codependent before I was a drug addict for sure. When I found out he was using heroin, I literally spent 3 months of my life trying to save his life. I exhausted all my finances trying to get him well, rehab, doctors, anything that I could think of to help him. And then finally, after 3 months, I joined him. Because I would have rather have been with him and try to help him get clean than to be without him. And I was 34 at the time, so I had never used drugs before then.
Never any type of drug before then?
None, nothing. Not even drinking or anything. Growing up, my father is an alcoholic and both of my older brothers were heroin addicts. So I was anti-drug from a very early age. And then my brother died of a heroin overdose. But I also wasn't a very good person. You know, I talk, this is part of my story, that before I was a drug addict, I was a bitch. I looked down on drug addicts, on people less fortunate, homeless people. You know, I would see them and I would be like, get a freaking job. You're just a weak piece of shit, even my brother. And then I became a drug addict and lost everything. And I was the homeless person begging for money on the side of the street.
I was just talking about this the other day about how the traditional style of peer pressure is complete bullshit. And it's more like this idea of wanting to belong or wanting to love someone that's like an unwritten or unspoken type of pressure. Can you expand on that decision? Because I find it fascinating that you were so anti-drug and then all of a sudden you were in hardcore.
Right. And, you know, and that's exactly the truth, because I wasn't just anti-drug, like in alcohol with everybody, but like I looked down on them, and I never, and anybody in my family or anybody that I did business with would tell you that I was the last person in the world you would have ever expected to be doing drugs, because I was that vocal about it, you know, and hateful about it. So when Cage started using drugs and I found him, I had no idea he was using drugs, none. And so it really changed me, because here's this person that I care about so much, and my brother has just died, and I'm thinking he's going to die. You know, somebody that I love, and like now he's somebody that I don't even know. You know, he's turned into this person, and I turned into somebody that I don't even know. And I tried to help him, and then on the day that I got fired from my job, because I didn't actually get fired from my job from doing drugs, I got fired for disappearing for 3 months to try to help Cage, you know, to get him clean. I was so afraid to leave his side because I was afraid he was going to relapse, or he was going to use drugs, or if he was using drugs, he was going to overdose, and I was not going to be there to help him. So that's why I got fired. And on the day I got fired, Cade said to me, you know, you're the strongest person I've ever met. Let me shoot you up with dope, and you'll be strong enough to bring us both back. So I know this is like the part of my story that I find horrifying. And it's embarrassing as a woman that I was so weak that I was just like, okay, here's my arm, put a needle in it. But that's what I did. And that's like honest truth.
No, what? See, you're judging yourself a lot.
I totally judge myself. It's so embarrassing. I hate telling that part of the story, because it's like, you know, if somebody told me that story, I'd be like, are you an idiot?
But here's the thing. Women don't talk about that. You hear men all the time say, yeah, I'm chasing escorts and strippers and what have you. They're sex addicts. It's like, oh, okay, he's a sex addict. Okay, so what? But women don't talk about it because there's a stigma behind women going, well, I'm addicted to another person. I want to be loved so much that I will do anything for that love, including drugs, because if he's doing it and he wants me to do it, he must love me.
Exactly.
I think it's awesome that you're coming out with this type of a story. Not awesome that you went through it, but awesome that you're sharing it, because women are afraid to share this type of story, because other women go, are you kidding me? You know, you did that for a guy. What's wrong with you? Women's prisons are filled with women with similar stories.
This I know to be true, because my book is really sold in the prison system. And I have so many women that when they get out of prison, they send me messages on Facebook and they said, I read your book when I was in jail, and your story is exactly my story. I ended up as a drug addict because of a man, and did everything I could to be with him, including, you know, commit crimes, and I ended up in prison.
I used to work in the prison system, and this was the common story over and over, especially with women. But you mentioned it like I couldn't believe that I was that weak.
Right.
Do you really think this has to do with strength?
I don't know. When I think back to that moment, like truly think about it, like if I like try to replay it in my mind, like it was so romanticized, right, in my head. Like I remember laying there and it was like so romantic, and, you know, he's like tying off my arm and the sun is behind his back, and he's telling me how much he loves me and that, you know, I'm so strong, and he knows that I will be enough to bring us both back. So in my mind, I think to myself, like, obviously this dude either didn't love me, or was it the drugs? That's something I struggle with. Something that I was willing to do this for, but obviously did not love me enough, because he knew what was going to happen. He knew as soon as that dope hit my veins what would happen to me. So is that really love? You know, because now I'm married to this amazing man who would kill himself before he would ever let me do drugs. So what was love, or was it the addiction? And that's something I struggle with for sure.
We have this idea.
Yeah, I do think it was a stupid moment.
But wait, I want to talk about this for a second, because there's a physiological thing that happens.
Here comes the brain health part.
Here comes the brain health. I'm just saying.
We're not even 5 minutes in and she snuck it in. Here we go.
But I have to talk about it.
Talk about it, girl.
All you wanted was love. And the romanticized version of what you were getting with the drugs was more about your brain and body pushing endorphins. Like, finally, here it is. And so then you smash this idea, this endorphin idea with using, and that's what you start chasing then. You know,
Right.
as I did it once, now the next time is going to be just as romantic, just as belonging. You know, this happens to a lot of people. Most of the time, your first experience with a drug is something that makes you feel like you belong to something or someone, and that's what you're seeking over and over again.
Okay, that's crazy that you said that. Are you in recovery?
I am not in recovery. My husband is in recovery.
Okay, so obviously you work with addicts. So the reason that's such a huge point is because in my mind, that first week together, it was like that. And that's exactly what I chased. And I write about this in the book. But after that week, that's what I chased with every other man. After Cage went to prison, I wanted that 1 week back. And that's what I tried to duplicate with every man. And I would go man to man. And I'm like, I need that week back, that specific week. It was so amazing and perfect.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's exactly what I chased over and over and over.
Yeah, well, that idea of when the addiction gets smashed with something that's awesome, you know, an event that's awesome, nobody really talks about that either. It's really like the addiction happened. We don't know why it happened. I'm like, really? A sense of belonging pushes those brain chemicals just as hard as a drug.
Right.
So that's how, obviously simplifying, but that's a very simplistic view of how things get smashed together with the wrong thing, and then you begin to use chasing that thing again.
And you never can get it. And that's
Never.
like you get stuck in this cycle, horrible cycle. And it was like, even once I got clean, it was like, that was what I was needing, that love and that sense of belonging. You know, I wanted it so bad, and it was so difficult. You know, Kelly, when we had coffee that other day, a couple weeks ago, and you told me that when I started feeling like anxiety, talking about insecurities and things like that, and you told me to do squats, remember, you know, to fix my brain, it fucking works. I have squatted so much. Like, I'll have this moment, like, you know, my husband's like amazing. He doesn't cheat. He doesn't do anything like that. But I'll have this moment of insecurity, and I will take my ass right in the bathroom and start squatting by the sink. Not even, and it really works.
So
like,
why does it work? Why does it work?
Because it's a brain thing, right?
Yes.
Here we go.
Here we go. See, I'm loving this podcast right now.
But it's so crazy that something so small and simple really fucking worked. And I didn't have to take drugs. I'm not on any anxiety medicine or anything like that. But it works like almost immediately.
Well, it's because almost the same, because Dr. Terrible will correct me in 2 seconds. It's almost the same chemicals in your brain released when you fall in love. So when you're addicted to another person, or you do exercise, or you have sex, or you go gambling, it's the serotonin that's being pinged. So it floods your brain with the happy chemical. And then you go, hey, you know, what I'm looking at is not as bad as what I think it is.
It's so crazy how you doctors can like make like the thoughts all like with words. You're exactly right. That's my feelings. You just put like, you know, words on my feelings. So
for $100,000, I will teach you how to do that too.
Exactly.
But I'm serious. But you guys are smarty pants.
But you know what? If everyone would subscribe to our methodology, right?
Oh my God, we sound like a cult.
Right? I know. Well, you know what? I'm going to be walking around with no anxiety and a great ass when this is all over with.
You're the perfect walking billboard. You could say, I have no anxiety. I have no problems. I feel great. And look at this ass. Look what I'm doing. I'm building my body.
I think you need that on the back of a pair of yoga pants, you know? I have no anxiety, but look at my ass.
There you go.
Exactly. Dr. Callie gave me this ass and freaking no anxiety.
Oh
There's
my
a
God.
for you, girl.
That's awesome. But I tell people to do the same thing in the morning if you're depressed. Like, get out of bed and do squats.
Do you do squats in the morning? Do you?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I have. I've done squats in the shower, and my husband's like, you're going to fall. And I'm like, I don't care. Sometimes I do squats or wall sits. I do that too. Or you might find me skipping down the back hallway.
I'm going to issue you a challenge, Dr.
God.
Terlin.
What's that?
Well,
I'm excited.
For our listeners and also for Addict Chick, Google Mike Tyson death squats.
Oh my God.
squats?
Yes, Mike Tyson's death squats. I will challenge
Now
you
I have
both.
anxiety.
We're going to get in the ring and we're going to out-squat each other.
Oh, my God.
Are you in on the challenge, Amanda?
I'm down. I'm so
All right.
down.
See, now we're all
Then
gonna
our
have nice
shorts
ass.
will say, my ass belongs to Callie.
Yoga pants. I'd buy those for sure. I'm always down to have a nice ass.
Nice. Oh, I was just going to ask Amanda, like, what do you do that keeps you motivated to move forward? Because I've seen some of your Facebook videos and you've got some pretty serious passion going on. So how do you keep that going?
I like being busy. You know, like staying busy keeps me clean. I'm so much like you. I've been reading your book. You're so badass. I just want you to know that I think you are so badass. But, you know, like staying busy and like making money and being ambitious, that's good for my brain. It keeps my brain busy. It keeps me clean for sure. And helping people. I don't want to see anybody else die.
I'm going to segue this. Making money and music also ping the brain with serotonin rushes. And I know you're in the music space.
Yep.
As am I.
I mean, I'm tone deaf as shit. But that's why I love rock music. You know what I mean? It feels good.
Not just serotonin, but dopamine. You don't forget the reward pathway.
Dr. Tara, tell us about the reward pathway.
Yeah, let's talk about this.
If you're making money, does it feel good or does it not feel good?
It feels so good.
It feels amazing. Will it make you want to do it again?
Yes.
Yes. Will it make you want to do it bigger than the last time you did it?
Yep.
Yeah. There's your dopamine right there.
Bam.
It's what everyone chases too, you know, the concentration, the motivation, the reward, your giddy up, your drive. That's dopamine. And that's what so many people lose when they're in the active addiction phase, right? The only thing that floods the dopamine is the addictive thing, person, thing, whatever itself. So reconnecting those pathways, making them work again through things like music, squats, and making money works. It all works and it's all natural. It's amazing.
Well, you know, I find that I get a lot of my self-esteem from my professional success and accomplishments. You know, like when I first got clean, the book, you know, before it came out, I struggled with that. You know, I didn't have humiliated professionally, you know, like everybody that I ever did business with knew that I was on drugs. You know, yes, I got clean, but you know, it's not like you're on Facebook like, hey, I got clean and anybody really gave a shit. Everybody says that. Post about it when you're a year clean. That's when I want to hear about it. You know what I mean? Like I got a lot of that. So since the book came out and, you know, I've been working and, you know, just doing a lot of different little projects, it really has helped my self-esteem and helped me grow. It's made me a better wife. For sure, and a better mom. I just derive most of my self-esteem from my professional life. I don't know how healthy that is, but that's where I'm at.
Why would that be unhealthy?
Well, because, like, you know, I don't want to become a work addict again. Because before drugs, you know, I worked 100 hours a week for 13 years, and I wanted to be number one. I wanted to make the most money. Then I wanted the number one team. And, you know what I mean? That was me professionally, and nothing was good enough. You know, I always wanted to be number one, and my family suffered, you know, like wasn't extremely healthy. So now just finding the balance is important for me.
I watched one of your videos and you talked a little bit about the stigma and that's why people aren't coming into treatment. And I hear a lot of people, especially around here, well, you know, there's not enough money for treatment, blah, blah, blah. And yet my doors are not overflowing over here with addiction treatment.
Right.
Do you think it's just stigma related or do you think it's something else?
I think it's a combination of, you know, we have to meet people where they're at, right? So like think about the moment I got clean. You know, there was just a window in there, a couple of hours. Like if I had, you know, found dope in the next few hours before my mom had gotten me into treatment, I wouldn't have gone to treatment. We have to find people, you know, when they're ready and like be quick about it. You don't have days for them to continue to want to go to treatment. Do you know what I mean? It's just like there's just a short window. And I think that, you know, there's not enough people helping these people get into treatment with or without insurance. That's the biggest issue. When someone's ready to get help, we need to help them right then, no matter what time of day it is, no matter what their situation is, because an hour later, they're back off to the races because they need the dope or they want to get high. So I think that's a huge, huge problem.
I find it fascinating. We just saw this on Facebook the other day. Somebody posted in a random forum, I have 1 day clean, and nobody responded. And I'm thinking, why is this community not more encouraging for somebody to say something like, oh, tell me when you got a year in, tell me when you did it the way I did it. To me, that is so disheartening.
Absolutely. I think that if somebody has like 5 minutes clean, it's a miracle. I remember when I couldn't put together 2 hours. It is so difficult. And when I started blogging, I was 60 days clean. I came out on my Facebook, my personal page, and was talking about it because I knew this is what I wanted to do. And I had family members, I had people I did business with, either unfriend me or send messages to me saying, that's private. Why are you talking about that? Because remember, I've been almost clean almost 4 years. So when I started talking about it on Facebook, it was kind of before it was cool to do it, before there were these recovery pages and all these advocates making videos, which I think is so amazing now. But back then it was like, people were like, what are you doing? Don't talk about this. It's the private matter. Aren't you worried that you're going to relapse? Now you put it out there, and if you relapse, how humiliating that will be for you. For me, it was empowering as hell, and it was liberating. I think, Kelly, we talked about this. Like when we wrote the books, it was so nice just to be honest. You take the power out of everyone gossiping about you by being as honest as you can be about the worst things you've ever done. And once everyone knows, nobody can say shit to me ever, because my truth is out there and it's ugly as hell. So that takes the power out of people's words, and you can say whatever you want about me because I've already said the worst stuff about me.
I agree with that, because I was telling you how I got slaughtered in 2014 and now I got a lawsuit and all that other nonsense. And the biggest thing with me was they tied me to my husband's prison record. And they said, how could you do what you do when your husband, has this prison record? But it's nothing to do with me, number one. And then number two, they went online and found all kinds of nonsense because I lost my fitness company and blah, blah, blah. And basically tried to slaughter me with it. And I said, you know what? Fuck that. I'm going to put it in a book and make money. And that's what I'm going to do with it. You did the exact same thing. And that's harnessing your power. It's taking your power back from the people that are trying to steal it and saying, you want to run with this, I'll run with this, and then I disarm you. And what are you going to do? And then I'm going to make money off of you. Now I'm going to make money doing what you were just doing, trying to discredit me. So fuck you. And that's exactly what happens.
And you're like my spirit animal, I swear, reading your book. Like, you're just so badass. Like, and we both lived in Dallas, and like, you made this hugely successful company, lost it all, have no shame writing about it either. Like, people get embarrassed about stuff like that and they won't talk about it. They act like it didn't happen. And like, reading about your journey was so awesome. But I have to say, your husband's like little hustle with the rented furniture and shit, I wish I had known that. That was a fucking brilliant idea. Like, I'm serious. I was thinking, shit, I let so much dope go because I didn't freaking have that idea.
That's part of why he went to prison. So I don't know how good
I know, but it was a great idea.
Yeah.
Not sure about the execution of the idea. Like the idea in concept, Right. I like the idea that you just mentioned, Kelly, about disarming them with information. Mm-hmm. I think that is brilliant. And it was probably about 6 months ago, my husband actually got really open with his story on Facebook when he first became sober, the story when he first became sober. And somebody actually responded like, you should have died. And I'm thinking, are you freaking serious right now? It was when he disclosed that he was thinking of suicide early in his recovery. And they were like, you should have died. You should have done it. And I'm like, what the frick?
People are always strong behind a keyboard, right? But I bet he would not have said that to his face.
Probably not. But there is strength behind a keyboard, which is unfortunate.
Well, here's the point to this, and this is not in the book, but this is in the lawsuit, so I can talk about it because it's public. One of my haters was writing nasty stuff, and then my husband reached out to him and said, you're both professionals, you're both in Miami, you both work with the same type of clients, why would you do that? And he said, why don't you come down to my office and we'll talk about it? So my husband went down to his office and he tried to punch him in the face. His solution was, come on down, we'll have a conversation. Oh, while you're down here, I'm going to haul off and try to hit you. And my husband got the whole thing on video. And he said, what are you doing? And he responded. So it's like, that was a response. And this is a guy that's got a master's degree doing addiction anger management. What the fuck? It's not just people on the internet that are in recovery, not in recovery. It's people that are in the industry that don't have their shit together, that are trying to do the work and then turning around and doing the wrong thing. It's all across the board. And it's the ego. If your ego is in the way, it's going to tell you I'm better than you. Or I want to cause drama because that's all I know how to do. I don't know how to be a successful person.
I could probably help them with changing their brain health, just throwing that in there again.
Let me win the lawsuit.
I'm so excited. I want to hire both of you ladies.
Please
I need help with my brain health.
You know where to find me now.
Can I ask you something? This is something that really has been a struggle for me, because I did methamphetamine. So before drugs, I was very focused. I could start a task and finish it. But now, even almost 4 years later, I struggle sometimes, and it freaks me out. Like, I'm so afraid that my brain will never repair itself, no matter what I do.
Well, your brain can repair itself because of neuroplasticity, but you got to fuel it correctly. So you need to know what fuel your brain actually needs. And that's typically amino acids, or make sure you have lots of good fats in your life, things like that. And on your own, unless you're fueling it appropriately, it will take years to repair. But if you fuel it appropriately, it will repair much quicker. And that's why people struggle so badly, especially in their first 1 to 2 years of recovery, because they're just not using, but they're not repairing either.
Right. And it's just like so frustrating. I'll have a thought and I'll start something and then I totally forget about it. My memory sucks. And I know it didn't used to be like this. You know, but I totally no more sugar. I don't eat sugar. I eat healthy fat. I'm doing the keto thing. And it seems to be getting better, but there's still these moments and I'll just sit down and cry because I'm so frustrated because I can't finish anything or focus.
The other thing, I don't know if you've done this, is working on gut health a lot.
Not specifically.
So, you know, there's that. There's several things that you could do that could change the game for you. So,
right. Well, we'll talk at another time about this.
Awesome. Would love to talk
about gut health.
Yeah. I always say it is really one of the missing pieces of recovery, because you can't think your way out of recovery or into recovery if your brain is sick.
Right.
Everything works together. So.
Love it.
All right. So I got one last question for you.
Okay.
Outside of your recovery, because we know your recovery was a badass thing to do, right?
You're right.
What is the most badass thing you've ever done, even something that nobody else knows about?
Okay. Well, in college, when I started going to college and realized that like I didn't have to be there, like they weren't taking roll and they didn't give a shit, I cashed in my tuition and bought an around the world ticket and let my parents still think I was in college, and I took off around the world. And my mom caught up with me in Tasmania and made me come home and cut me off financially. My whole family, everything, I was completely on my own. And so I walked into a travel agency and got a job. I was 21 and I worked there for 13 years and kicked ass. I mean, I was super successful and, you know, promoted when I was 22. You know, I'd made $1 million by the time I was 25. I was so successful. So I would say that's probably up there as the badass things that I've done.
That is very cool. What did you learn about traveling around the world?
That I'm okay by myself. I'm happier by myself. I don't have a lot of friends. I'm independent. I can figure things out. And I'm happier like that.
So wait a minute. You just bought a ticket to countries you've never been to languages you don't speak.
The food you've never eaten.
But you know what? Anywhere in the world is freaking Starbucks. Just so you know. Like you can go into Starbucks and get a morning bun anywhere.
That's pretty badass. I think you got me beat on the badass. I don't know if I could do that.
I think she's got everybody beat so far on the badass. So
whatever. Kelly, you were like living somewhere without like heat or air conditioning or whatever. You got a kerosene heater, and I had to Google that. I was like, what the fuck is that? Like, what kind of heater is she buying that? And that's what she's living in?
That was pretty bad.
So yeah, no, I wouldn't have been able to do that. I would have hustled somebody for a hotel room for sure. Yeah.
You guys are both way more badass than I am, by the way.
You're doing squats in the shower.
Do you know how many people die every year from shower falls?
Stop. Don't make my husband write. What are you doing?
He's going to write a strongly worded letter to you.
He is a strongly worded letter.
Well, you guys are awesome. Thank you for having me on today.
Well, thank you for coming on, and tell our listeners where they can find you, where they can find your book, and if they need help with getting into treatment, how to reach you.
Awesome. On Facebook, I'm Addict. Instagram, I'm Addict. My website is addictchick.com. My book is sold on Amazon, iTunes, Google Play, and Audible if you would prefer to listen to it. Although I want to say make sure you don't listen to it loudly because there's a lot of sex in it. And if you or somebody you know needs treatment, you can reach out to me on any of my pages. Send me a message on Facebook and I will respond promptly.
Sounds good. Well, thank you for coming on. We appreciate it.
Nice meeting you.
You were so fun. I totally appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Awesome. Right. And you are listening to Unpause Your Life with Dr. Callie Estes and my amazing Midwestern co-host doing naked squats in the shower,
Dr. Darylyn.
Hey everyone, thanks again for listening. I really hope you enjoyed the show today. Head on over to iTunes and Apple Podcasts and leave a comment or review of what you think. Or contact us at 1-800-706-0318. If you want to be on our show, feel free to email or call. And if you have a topic, feel free to email or call as well.
Thanks for listening to Unpause Your Life. For show notes and more, head on over to unpauseyourlife.com.
Big shout out to recoveryinnovators.com for help producing this show. Thank you, guys.
I took a walk down the long road where they said that I shouldn't go. On my way found a reason to wake up another day. But they needed to show you all the things that you won't do. Find faith or religion, but nothing to show for it. No need to escape in love with my pain. I may be awake, but I'm alive, still alive, and I won't be bound by your mistake. No, I won't be your enemy, trapped at the gate. Bring me to life, put me to death. Just give me something that's just not so hard to believe. To believe. To believe. I took a walk down the dark road where they said that I shouldn't go. I knew the dangers of flying. Now I'm so far from silent